A very good morning again, and welcome to the second panel session of the day today of what has been so far a very interesting summit that kicked off yesterday. Today we're going to be talking, the topic for this panel is solving Africa's gas development and utilization challenges through domestication of innovation. And we're going to have a distinguished power panel here to thoroughly dissect this topic. All thanks to a person I call Are Chike also. No, forget about the fact that he's a petroleum engineer of distinguished repute, but of course, we refer to him as Chief. Chike is here, and he's a titled man, right? And I want to recognize him as such. He has more or less set the scene and given us a template for us to build up on this topic of innovation as it regards solving Africa's unique challenges. The discussions yesterday and even leading up to this morning has talked about Africa as being blessed with natural resources and all of that, but it's still fraught with challenges here and there, and on the balance of scale, Africa is energy poor, it's energy deficient, and can be termed as languishing in the realms of energy poverty. So with that in mind, we want to, put all things aside, right, and get to the nitty-gritty of these conversations. Sometimes when we listen to ourselves, we almost sound like a broken record. But today, I want the panel to look at it intently so that we can thoroughly dissect these issues from the standpoint of innovation, and not just innovation, right? Like Chike said, we're looking at innovation from the lens of Africa as a continent. Now, innovation can be, looked at from various perspectives. And when you look at our brothers in the western part of the world, innovation might sound as a very, very cosmetic terminology, so to speak. But right here, we want to look at what are the things we can do in Africa, right, that can convert gas as something that has to be an aspiration, because for us, we keep saying that gas is a transition fuel for us to meet the global requirements of cleaner energy as espoused by every other person in the world. So with that in mind, again, I thank Chike for talking about innovation from the collaborative point of view. We're not just looking at innovation, for innovation's sake, but how do we look at it within the context of all the various stakeholder groups within the industry. And in that regard, I'm going to be focusing on 5 pillars, okay, without dealing too much on the usuals, infrastructure gaps and all of that. But we're looking at 5 levers that all stakeholders that are involved in the natural gas business, have to touch on for them to be able to look at the natural gas business and growing it from where we are to the next level in Africa. So those levers I'm looking at, I'll be looking at policy and regulation. How do we approach it from an innovative standpoint? We're going to be looking at technology. We're going to be looking at industry partnerships. We're going to be looking at environment and sustainability, as well as investments and financing. And if we have a little bit of time, we'll also touch on how community can be leveraged, from an innovative standpoint to be able to dissect this topic. I want us to put at the back of our mind that leaving this panel discussion, right, innovation has to be something we need to pledge to do. There is a book that I don't know if anybody here has read it. It was authored by Peter Drucker. It's titled Innovate or Die. If you do not innovate as a business, you are likely going to, lose your business on the long run. So for us as an industry, we need to innovate or die. In other words, for us to sustain this business and be serious about it, we want to be able to ensure that innovation is at the crux of what we do. So without further ado, I want to start with Solomon, if you don't mind. I'll just run from you down there, and then we'll join our friend that is online, Ahmad Bungadi. So I want to address this question to all the panelists anyway, just to give us your perspective, as an icebreaker within 2 minutes or thereabouts, right, on how you can briefly describe, based on your own experience anyway, one key challenge that you see in the current development and utilization of natural gas in Africa, and how innovative solutions can come about addressing such challenges. Again, from your own experience.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me start on a note of gratitude to SP and the collaborators, for which my company is a big part of it. We are very high on innovation and technology, and that's why we are sponsoring this event. Speaking from experience and a lot of the conversations that we have had, nobody has spoken about the security challenges. That's one of the big issues we have in our development and utilization of gas, because it's not just a risk, it poses uncertainty. And most economic models cannot model uncertainty. So when you cannot model uncertainty, it becomes a big issue. So today, gas pipelines, facilities are sabotaged, and most of our gas that is AG, when you do that, you affect the oil production. So we have to introduce technology and adapt it from the perspective of solving our security challenges. And we have to be collaborative about it. What we have found in the industry is that each organization has its own solution. We are not synergizing together. We need to synergize to get an holistic solution. For me, the above ground issues, especially with security, has to be done innovatively for us to realize our potentials. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Solomon.
Thank you very much. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of this event and extending the greetings from my principal engineer, Dr. Emeka Okosa, who could not make it to this event, and extends his greetings to you under his leadership. He has asked me to give a key message for the organization, so kindly permit me to deliver his key message. Gas is a transition energy in fulfilling the goal of environmental preservation and goal zero. Africa is abundant in gas resources and very energy deficient in terms of energy utilization. Gas affords us the means to bridge the gap and develop capacity to invest in renewables. Our contributions to carbon is very minimal compared to the OECD countries. Now, keying into your questions, technology and innovations, thank you, Chike, for that presentation that covers all the aspects of the topic. Innovation and technology cannot be overemphasized. It helps in efficiency of the operations. It helps to reduce the cost of operation, thereby ensuring that projects embarked on them are completed on time, and then attracts foreign investment to continue to invest because they want to ensure that they have a return on investment. It helps to make it safe, keep the people working safe, and also keep environment safe. And most importantly, reduces time of completion of projects, which is very key. And it's not something that is extraordinary, it's something that is within us. So we have to look in what are the things that we have within us, and how can we utilize it to provide solutions to ourselves. Key challenges I see, apart from the funding and the willingness of operators to go into investment in the upstream so that we can harness some of these proven gas reserve, is that one, you have some clusters of gas that are not economically viable to begin to develop. Therefore, solution there is to deploy the CNG so that you can get them together and move it to where it's needed. Or you have a solution where you can get clusters of them into one hub and then use a transportation system, in this case pipeline, to move it to where it's required. So that's one. Two is the lack of infrastructure that we have currently alluded to. We lack that, and we have to ensure that we cover the regions that are lacking. The east, southeast, up to the north is lacking. So that backbone infrastructure needs to happen. Recognize Chike's presentation about various gas that are sufficient in the reservoir, up to more than 2 TCF of gas, build facilities, gas facilities around them. So that's another innovative solution to take. So let me leave it for here, and then we can come back.
Thank you very much, Chuka. Yeah, George.
Yeah. All right. It's the morning. Good morning, everyone. For us in UTM, we just want to bring our greetings. UTM FLNG is a new company, not quite new, because we are doing great things together with our bigger partners, which is Nigerian NNPC and other stakeholders. Greetings from my GMD, Mr. Ronnie. Coming back to where the topic of today is something that the system or the whole country or the whole continent is struggling with. One of them is issue of innovation and technology. Most of this technology, like the code box and all, are patent. So how do we break it? We have a lot of young people, especially in Nigeria, that are doing excellently well all over the world. And why are they leaving the country? Maybe the environment is not favorable for research and development. So we need to see how we can even partner with the Nigerians that are abroad, that are breaking the barriers everywhere, to see how they can even work with us across the globe, where now we are in the era of technology that people can work wherever they are. So we need to see how we can get into this developmental pattern that has to do with innovation and technology. I want to speak also to the issue of policy framework. We know for sometimes we always have these inconsistencies here and there. The draft may be very good. A lot of people here, especially from the gas support group, have been part of the PIA and so on. But sometimes the implementation will be different from what you have in the presentations and so on. So these are areas I feel we have to improve. If we improve on the policies, let there be stability. We read recently why Total is putting about $6 billion in Angola and not in Nigeria. And one of the key things they mention is inconsistency of policy and security. So somebody here has mentioned security already. So these are key things that are really, really like a monster killing the business in Nigeria. Even as they are divesting, no investor or no businessman will want to put money where you cannot get anything out. So the local investors will even be like hold back or putting money where they are not sure they are going to get it back. And at the end of the day, it shows in our data. We are supplying very low volume of oil, and also in maybe even the gas to power our generating stations. Even the gas to Nigerian LNG is short for. We're having a lot of challenges. It's not this, I think the purpose of the essence of this meeting is not to dwell on things that are bedeviling us, but how do we solve them? So we have to talk about the community, as we mentioned. If the pipeline is passing through my place, and I know my community has an investment in it, definitely we're going to take ownership of it. Our senior colleague here also talks about crowdfunding. It piques me because we are driving the process whereby we are about taking the FID for the project, and you know what it means to tick all the boxes and so on. To inform the audience, some European countries have already stopped investing in gas. France and a few other countries. So we are calling like a cleaner energy. They are saying, no, we don't even want to do anything which has to do with fossil fuel. So with the crowd that we have here and the crowd that are outside there, we can think inward and say, how can we do crowdfunding for special projects like UTM FLNG, of course, that is about taking all the stranded gases offshore, put it in an FLNG, and sell the product inland. I think these are the few things I need to say. I still have a key speech later on to deliver a project. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, very interesting, George, and thanks for your perspective. So we'll go to Mr. Mungadi, our regulator, the industry regulator on the downstream and midstream end. Mr. Mungadi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, can you
and thank you once again.
Yeah, your opening thoughts.
I hope you can hear me also.
Very, very well, loud and clear.
So in addition to what the lead speaker and indeed the other erudite panelists have mentioned, I want us to have some discussion around efficiency in utilization. That is, innovations that will enhance efficiency in gas utilization. As Nigeria is more or less at a junction where we want to accelerate utilization of our gas, it is important that we immediately, at this stage, try to optimize efficiencies of our utilization. Already discussions are ongoing, and there are a lot of advancement in efficiencies in operations, that is in the upstream and the midstream. But it is quite possible that after some time, after some years, we will look back and realize that the amount of gas we have utilized, we could have gotten much more out of it had it been we use more efficient utilization mechanisms. Let's look at it like this. If we take certain volumes of gas, let's say million scf of gas, and produce electricity, it is possible that half amount of that gas will have been utilized, will have been used in producing the same amount of electricity or other products of gas. We should consider and push for that efficiency to be developed. That is on the part of our natural gas utilization. It may appear that we have a lot of gas, but it is still finite. And it is really, really important from our perspective, our regulators, and from our own perspective as the person speaking, that we should look very much deeply into how we enhance efficiencies of utilization. For two reasons, as I've mentioned, the first part. The other part is the utilizer himself, assuming he is consuming gas, let's say even at households, to make certain processes. If we can utilize less amount of gas to achieve amount of energy that we can get or amount of product that we can take out, I think it will actually help in ensuring that we utilize our resources much more effectively. There are other points I will want to mention, but I will just re-emphasize efficiency of utilization. Remember, we have supply, we have processing, that is midstream, and we have utilization. Utilization is where I will want to bring very clear to our discussions today. Let it be one of the key points, one of the key areas of considerations, because without utilization, then supply and processing cannot actually progress. Thank you very much. I will discuss other things subsequently.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to stay with you, Mr. Mungadi, because there's a tendency we forget the person that is online, right? So if you don't mind, I want to pick your brain on your role as the industry regulator, right? And I want you to respond to this question very quickly on how policymakers can leverage on the academia and research institutions in developing regulatory frameworks that support innovation in the gas sector. Don't forget that the bedrock of innovation starts from R&D, and that's why we're looking at research institutions and academia in posing this question to you. So how can you policymakers, you the regulators, how can you leverage on these key stakeholder groups, that is the academia and research bodies, to support innovation in the gas sector?
I think the most practical way is to leverage on what the PIA has already provided. The PIA has stipulated that whenever the regulators, and that is the Upstream Commission and the Midstream and Downstream Authority, is going to make any policy, any law, it should conduct stakeholder engagement. So the most practical way is for us to ensure that the academia are part of that stakeholder engagement. So there is not only the industry players, so to say, the upstream operators, the midstream, and the downstream operators that are effectively engaged. It is for us to ensure that whenever we are doing any policy, when we are bringing any law, any regulation, that the academia is invited, and that to ensure that they actually participate. Remember, academia do their things in two ways, maybe three, but two most prominently. They think and provide solutions for problems that are envisaged to come in the future. They also consider and provide solutions to present problems. So in both cases, in our cases, mostly we deal with, when we are developing our regulations and policies, it may appear to be more of the present, and because whatever we bring will have immediate impact. But in the cases where there are certain areas where the academia, in their own jurisdictions, have identified solutions to problems that may be encountered in the future, what we may do is then to provide an avenue for such submissions or such engagement between the regulators and the academia, so that before the problems become apparent to the industry, the academia and the regulators have already provided solutions for them. So on one part, the mechanism already exists. It's just for us to ensure it happens. That is the industry engagement. On the other part, is something that then we will take back and perhaps create avenues. There is a government institution that is already established to help in some of this academia industry engagement, and that is the PTDF. Through the PTDF, and they are making some efforts actually in reaching out, establishing PTDF chairs in institutions where researches are conducted. And it is expected that such research are fed back to the industry. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mungadi. Just a parting shot for me to you is just that some of these, actions are being measured and captured, for the sake of improvement. Thank you once again. By the way, I'm going to have questions from the audience after this round of questions before we wrap up the session. So I will skill over to Solomon. Solomon, I know you are head of commercial operations in Oando, the upstream arm of Oando, and you also manage an asset. So I want to ask you what the key factors are that you consider before taking up investments in gas development projects.
Thank you very much. For gas development, the approach is different from oil development. You have to start from the commercial first. It has to be right before you sink a well. And so one of the biggest challenges that I have seen so far, you sign a gas supply agreement, it's not effective because of securitization. There's no backstop mechanism because even the final off-taker is not able to get the financing. So that's very key. There are several gas supply agreements that we have that are just there. There is no implementation because the condition precedents have not been met. So we have to deal with securitization. It's very, very key. Two, we have to look at the value chain in such a way that each sector of the value chain must return an IRR. If not, one sector will be subsidizing the other sector. We don't need subsidy, but we need incentives in the sector. So I believe most times our approach as a country, I may be wrong, is too short-term driven. We have to look at the long term, especially when you talk about sustainability. You can grow, but you are not sustainable. We have to, first of all, fix securitization issue. Number two, and I think it's something that we have not spoken about, is data. Data is the new oil. Data, Chief spoke about AI, but data asymmetry, data integrity, nobody's talking about it. Who's organizing it? We need data democracy in the country, and I believe the regulator should play a big role in that. So when you have that, you can talk about efficiency. People can access the same kind of data. The assumptions will be the same. So what goes into your model will become the same. So we need the regulator to play a big role so that these exercises do not be like talk shop. So I'm just going to concentrate on securitization, and Mite talked about pricing. I think we have to go away from fixing prices for particular sectors, whether GBIs, power sector, or the commercial sector. We need to go into a willing buyer, willing seller arrangement where each venture has to pay for itself. If it's not economic, then you will not find the investment. Everybody wants a return on investment, and if that investment, looking at close value chain, does not pay for itself, then there'll be no investment, and that's one of the key problems that we have in this sector. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Solomon.
Thank you.
Chuka, I know you are big on technology in the All Self group. So from a technological standpoint, in terms of innovation, what are some of the latest innovations that have the potential to revolutionize gas development in Africa? And if you have some specifics you can share from your own experience.
All right. Thank you very much. We've spoken so much about data acquisition in terms of AI and stuff, nanotechnology. Our colleague from Ghana, Engineer Obed, did mention about how they are deploying nanotechnology in data acquisition. Nanotechnology is one aspect in the country that is not too common. And I think we will begin to be deliberate about looking into nanotechnology, right from introducing it in our educational system, from the primary school, secondary school, universities, and so on. As an OISAF group, we are mainly in the midstream sector, in the oil and gas sector. We collaborate with the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, for nanotechnology development. And it's an event that happens every 2 years, sponsored by my chairman, Engineer Dr. Emeka Okosa, CUN. And we are utilizing the resources of the academia to develop solutions that can solve our problems in the renewables. As we speak right now, they have made some progress on the energy storage equipment batteries using nanotechnology. So the next step is to move it from that prototype to patent and then deploy it to the system. Now, coming to the business of OISAF in terms of technology, we are responsible for the building design, engineering design, and building of major gas infrastructure in Nigeria, the OB3 that is mentioned, Fazimes Engineering, BD Engineering, design, utilizing as well technology developed by Schlumberger Auger to determine the fluid and areas that we avoid wax, that we affect the integrity of the pipe. We also utilize hard technology in constructing those pipelines. We utilize HDD, it's a horizontal directional drilling, to cross rivers. In that project, we didn't utilize the current new technology in pipeline installation called the DPI, direct pipeline installation, which we are currently deploying the AKK project pipeline we are doing right now at River Niger, close to Kogi. We are deploying that system right now. It's more efficient, it's more safer, it reduces time as opposed to HDD that you have about 3 processes. You have to do a pilot hole first, you have to come and ream to the size of the pipe you want to do, and you have to pull the pipe and do a pullback. But with this new direct pipeline installation, you just install the pipeline across the river. So that's one technology. And coincidentally, this is the second time it's being used in Nigeria. Out of the two, it's ongoing, so it have not been completed, so we need to take note of that. But in doing that, we will build capacity over years. And it requires training, train the people to be able to utilize these technologies. You need to have patience to be able to grow capacity in that area. The OB3, the AKK project, it cuts across various terrains, about 140 minor and major rivers, about 18 roads. For the roads, we are not breaking open cuts to destroy the environment. We do a truss-bore, horizontal truss-bore system. In that way, it keeps the environment safe, and you also have the efficiency that you require. So in doing that, it's quite important that we put all this together. It's important to have training, building capacity. It's important to collaborate with academia to develop and move these studies further than what we have, and build more innovations that will help in harnessing these gas molecules that we have in the ground. Lastly, I watched a lesson from the croc this morning, right? And the croc has this black bird that has a thick beak. He has in front of him a glass of jar that is half full. His beak cannot enter that, but there are around him, around the croc, there are stones. So he has to use his beak to pick the stones and drop in the jars so that the water level up and he can drink. What does that lesson tell us? It tells us that we have to utilize the resources we have, the talent we have, to solve our own problem, identify our own problem, solve our own problem, and get solutions to solve our own problem. So let me leave it at this point. Thank you.
Interesting one. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chuka. George. Yeah. Like the name of your company suggests, you UTM offshore. So you're probably going to be operating offshore since you're going to be setting up an FLNG imminently. Now, talking about the environment, you know, what policies or regulations are most effective in ensuring that gas development projects prioritize environmental sustainability? I know it's been talked about earlier on this morning, but in relation to what you are trying to do at UTM Offshore.
It's okay. Primarily, the FLNG project mostly is to solve environmental issues. We have a lot of gas flaring, especially in the stranded field offshores here and there. So deploying FLNG to take some of this, the gas being flared, which are not cost effective to run the pipeline all the way to the shore, first of all solves the key problem of flaring and all the impacts that it generates to the environment. So that is the key thing. Then as an add-on, we are using some of the best practices, deploying innovative and proven technology. We're also working with some world-renowned engineering companies like Technip and JGC, which out of the 7 functional FLNGs in the world, they have done 5. So it's something that we are consciously doing. It's expensive than to go to maybe some lower companies and so on, but we decide to say as the first FLNG to get to this level in the country, we also want to get it right. The second thing is we are Nigerians doing something the IOCs have not done even in Nigeria. So we need to show that capacity that there's nothing wrong with your color. It's just the brain. And if we have the exposure working in a lot of facilities in Nigeria and outside the country, why can't we do it? So it's the can-do attitude of Nigeria. So we are also trying to use the best technologies, as I said, to work both on the environment, clean up the air. For people that live around the Port Harcourt axis, there's always suits. Some are attributed to the issue of bunkering, but not entirely, because there are flares all over. When you want to cross water to Boni, to Nembe, and so on, you see a lot of activities going. If you're even flying maybe to any of the FPS or offshore, you see a lot of flare here and there. And these things are being transported by air to the neighboring cities. So if we deploy the FLNG approach, you can grossly reduce the impact of some of this environmental pollution and the adverse effect it can generate in the country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've just been reminded that we have just a few more minutes to wrap up. So in case there's any question from the audience, I can entertain one, maybe maximum of two. But while we're at that, I want to pose this question to Chief Chikinwosu. Ideally, you're supposed to be here with us, but if you don't mind, just pass the microphone to him. Just again to share some of your perspectives, because you are big on collaboration, you are big on partnerships, as HSI Energies has demonstrated. So from your perspective, how can partnerships between the public and the private sector drive the domestication of innovation in Africa's natural gas industry specifically?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. I'll go to the Pentalix model, and I'll try and delve a little bit inward into it. Meanwhile, the slides I shared, all these things around nanotechnology, they're all there. I couldn't delve into it because of the time allotted, So take a look at it. It's the kind of things that we can collaborate with the universities on. In actual fact, I think all those involved in gas development should be able to put together a fund, select some centers of excellence around the country, and actually try and develop some of these technologies, develop in terms of domesticate them. If they're there already, we learn from them. So public, their interest. You see, when I talked about crowdfunding, it was not as, how would I put it, one of these harebrained ideas, okay? It was about democratizing the collaboration in oil and gas between the entrepreneurs and the public. Now, the way this crowdfunding thing works, it even helps the public learn a little bit more about these projects. So the first thing I think we all need to do, and I'm prepared to sponsor it. I have some brilliant young people who are prepared to work on it. If we can create an app or that kind of platform where all our projects are budding projects, with certain parameters. We need professionals to define those parameters. That's how these things work. So if there's a petro fund for crowdfunding, we need oil and gas professionals. We need SPE, to come in and say, these are the criteria that we'll use to score each of those projects. Okay? It's almost like what you do when you do forex trading. There's a learning process in that forex trading when you go there. Remember that blockchain technology is at the back of all these things to prove as the secure protection. Okay? So you bring all these projects. OIDA might have projects. HSI might have projects. We all have a template. And a couple of things in the template are your feasibility study. Your front-end engineering design. The team of people that are working on the project. The commercial guy mentioned about secularization. That's one of the important things. And this is about access to funding now. Do you have GSPs that are signed? Do you have off-take agreements that are also signed? So it's not just the GSP who is off-taking your products. All these parameters, investment memorandum, whatever it is, they go into that platform in project pockets. Okay? And each of these projects, each of these companies determine how much equity, remember it's not a loan, how much equity they want to give up. And this is what is about collaboration. If you hold everything to yourself, you have 100% equity, and the project does not go anywhere, you have 100% of zero. Which you can argue till you go this thing, it's still zero. So one company might say, I'm prepared to give up 40% equity. Another company might say 30% equity. Now, the crowdfunding can you can do both equity and debt. But I prefer the equity model because in most cases, when you go to funding parties, they want to see what your skin in the game is. And your skin in the game is your equity, which usually varies between 30 and 40%. Show me you have this. So that crowdfunding means that I do all these. I have a team of experts that come and review the project, sit with me before those projects are uploaded onto the platform. Okay? So integrity is signed off on by those group of uninterested and uninvolved experts. Yeah. And then you say the equity and how much each unit will be. I would prefer that we start with small units like $10, $100. Like you can even start with $1. Yeah. It depends on the population you want to attract. And you then have people come in that the public, it's open to the public. They just come and register, they look at the projects, and they buy the equity in the projects with a coin-like technology, okay? And that equity that there is in the project means that they have an ownership of the project. So the moment the project is funded and continues, you have to make sure that they are involved in all the reporting on the project, almost like your agent. They are shareholders. That's what it means. But you've democratized it to the extent that you've allowed a large population, not just Africans, yeah, who can provide that funding to you. That is how you engage the public in the oil and gas business. And anybody who buys, you know, I find it surprising when I talk to young people this way. If you know how much they know about currency fluctuations,
of course.
Yeah, when they are doing forex trading, you'll be amazed. They don't go to university for it, yeah. They don't do anything. Some of them can't even complete a sentence. But they are forex traders. That's what they call themselves. And they learn about, you know, how forex trading happens. Yeah. So you can imagine what it will do if they come in and they have a series of lectures, videos, and everything telling them about each project. They will learn more and more and more about gas and oil projects. They will become more and more involved because their money is there. And they intend to make money out of it. That is how to democratize that funding process. Thank you.
Fantastic. And I think what I hear you say is that those projects, we need to demonstrate the fundability of the project using a unique set of parameters. Thank you very, very much for that. And that again reminds me of 2008, Barack Obama was contesting for president and he was looking at $5 donors and he was able to outraise funding from the big boys. Anyway, thank you very much. I've been told by the MC, he's been calling my phone, telling me that I don't have any more time. And I sincerely apologize to the audience. We can't take any questions from you. I want to thank the panel. Mr. Mungadi, our regulator, if you can still hear us, thank you very much. We appreciate the perspectives you brought to us. The representative of the ACE was here yesterday and he spoke about the fact that you all are enablers to grow in the business. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks to Oando as
Thank you very much, even though the time was short.
Yeah. Thanks to you guys and all the very best in your endeavors, you know, at fundraising. Same to OilTab and same to UTM Offshore. I actually thought we were going to have other panelists scattered around the world. It was supposed to have been the biggest geographically spread panel because we had Mr. Mungadi is in Canada now. It looks like he's not, but he's in Canada, in case you don't know. We have somebody that was supposed to have joined us from China, somebody from Kenya as well, but unfortunately, they weren't able to log on. So on this note, I want to appreciate everybody, appreciate the audience, and of course, my distinguished set of panelists and the